Well, hey everybody, it's the 21st day of August 2025. I'm Jan Erickson and this is As Above, So Below. Hope everybody's having a good week. It's supposed to be in the 90s tomorrow. Fun times. Well, I'm waiting for the last rune to fall in my hand here in the rune bag. There we go. We have Othala. We had Othala on Monday, I think. Let me look here. Yeah, we did. We had Othala and we had Kata Draconis for the Geomancy rune. Othala is the 24th rune of the Elder Futhark. So issues of sacred space and protection and loyalty and tradition and inheritance, possessions, all of that. The Akashic record could be considered Othala. It's all the culmination of everything, similar to the World card in Tarot in the Major Arcana. It's literally composed of Kenaz in all directions. We have down here at the bottom, you have an X, which is Gebo, and that's Kenaz expressed outward. Kenaz is the light or the torch or the light of spirit, awakening. And here you have the same thing, only inward with Ingus. That's one of the ways you can draw Ingus. Otherwise, it's two X's, one on top of the other. But the diamond there is Kenaz inward. And so Kenaz would, or rather Ingus would be the seed and the sudden release of creation energy. But it's that focus in that gets bigger and bigger and bigger and then blasts out when the seed basically pops open and starts to grow. So you have that inner and outer type of light with Othala, which makes sense, it being the culmination of all that the soul comes in, the major archetypes, soul archetypes that the soul comes in to work through. With the minor arcana and the court being the details of everything. The Elder Futhark would be very similar, and so this would be the culmination of everything, of all that you brought in and all you expressed out. So again, it really, for me, it describes the sacred space of the soul here in form, essentially. Almost like a soul vehicle, like a Merkaba. Although Ewaz is typically thought to be that. So here we have, that's water. We have Pur. Haven't had Pur in a little while. Pur is one of the youthful runes here in the Geomancy set. You got Pur and Puella, or Puea. Puella would be, or Puea would be the little girl rune, and Pur would be the little boy rune. Both have issues with impulse control, although the little girl rune tends to be a little more, it's just scattered focus. This would be, little boys getting in trouble. so there's a lack of impulse control with that could be impacting sacred space or something about, your home life, your property. There could be something going on property-wise. So, I mean, it could be a lot of different things. Othala is an earth element rune, and so you're going to be looking at earth energies with it anyway. But there could be something with Pur that's just a little too scattered, too much lack of focus, I think, today. And so they can get into things, Things can happen that are unexpected. So anyhow, let's go ahead and I'm just going to leave that real general here until we see what the cards have to say. Assuming I can, actually shuffle today. I picked beans before I started this, so they're a lot. I think I was out there about an hour. Already done some shuffling, so I'm not going to do any more here. I'll just do that, and then I'm going to cut the deck, take the lower half, and take 3 cards. Well, I mentioned the world with relating it to Othala, and I have the world here. Let's go ahead before we do anything else, though. Before I start looking at these cards, because then I'm going to want to talk about it. I'm going to forget to do the numerology for the reading. So 24 for Othala. We have the Eight of Cups. We have the Two of Wands. And then we have the 21st card of the Major Arcana, the World. So that's 55. That's interesting. We had a bunch of dual numbers last time. I'm going to do this one more time. 24 plus 8 is 32 plus 2, 34 plus 21, 55. So double numbers are interesting. It's not a master number or anything. So 55 reduces to 10, which then reduces to 1. So you're looking at new beginnings, but with 55, you could also look at each 5 separately, where you have change. 5 is about change. It's also about protection, innovation, variety, things like that, but change typically. And so with 2 5s, there could be a bigger change, right? You might be able to look at it that way. That results in some kind of a new beginning happening. 1 is also about the self. It could be like your sun sign. It could represent that. It can represent talent, leadership, all of that kind of stuff. Things that are unique about yourself could be a 1 energy. But let's say there's change that results in some kind of new beginning. And if that's the case, then you're looking at, it could also be about protection as well, the strong need to protect given the change. And so with Athala also being about protection and property and inheritance and prosperity and success. There could be some lack of focus that's going on that could be impacting that and causing some kind, or potentially causing some kind of a big change where something new can happen. Now maybe that ends up being a good thing. Maybe not. We'll just see. Let's start with the 8, though, the 8 of Cups. Here you see 8 cups standing upright. 3 are stacked on top of the other 5. It's almost like 1 is missing. And I tend to interpret the guy here, the individual who's walking away, as this. It's like he took with him whatever emotions that he needed to get going and make a change and move in a different direction. But at the same time, it's almost like he took one with him, 9, of course, would be, you'll see a guy in a chair where you've got, he's just sitting there with his arms crossed. He's very happy. And you see this wall behind him that's got a blue drape over it and all the cups on top. And that's happiness and fulfillment. Well, it's almost like he's leaving behind what he doesn't need. He's already internalized all of that, and he's taking with him the emotional security that he needs as he embarks on a new journey. And you can see the rocks in the way here. There could be challenges. He's leaving on the crone phase of the moon, and basically he's in an older time in his life. Where he's moving in a different direction. Maybe you could say that. Lots of ways to see this. The 8 is about strength. It's about leadership. It's greater harmony, material recognition, and approval. But here, having the inner emotional strength to get everything in order and leave behind what he doesn't need and moving on. And again, see, he's walking uphill, so that's also irrespective of the challenges. He's emotionally ready to meet them. And so from there, we go to the 2 of Wands, and here you have a guy, a merchant. He's holding a globe. You've got one staff affixed to this little small half wall here that he's looking out over. He's looking out into the water. He's holding his other staff there. And 2 can be about a lot of different things. It can be about balance and love and healing and reciprocity, but it can also be about decisions. And here, it's almost like he's looking out to decide, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? How am I going to make my living? And I've said this before, that expression, the world is your oyster. Well, in a sense, he could do anything at all holding the globe there. It's really just up to him to make a decision about that. And he's walking through a doorway into new experiences. So this could be him here as he's getting himself emotionally ready to do that. So there could be, and perhaps what Poor is suggesting is don't lose focus. Don't make any decisions impulsively here. Because it can affect the sacred space you're trying to create for yourself, or the life you're trying to create for yourself, the security, the peace, the balance of all of that. Because what you see an internal and external balance here, again with Ingus on top and Gebo on the bottom, bringing in the light of spirit, expressing it outward, and seeing things from that perspective. And so I think that, there could be something that's happening in your life today. I'm going to talk about the world last here. There's something that could be happening in your life right now where you are ready to move forward on something else, and you feel emotionally secure enough to do that. And from there you can make a decision. You have lots of opportunities maybe, or maybe you're just deciding, okay, along the way I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to decide, I'm not going to let my impulses get the better of me here, and I'm going to make sure that I keep my emotional security in check, and that that's useful, okay, instead of just sort of going out there and doing haphazardly whatever comes your way. There's more of a measured approach here to the new opportunities that he's looking for and the decision he has to make about it. So I think that Poor might be just there as a cautionary tale, just to remind you to not let your focus get scattered, because it can impact what it is you're trying to achieve here in terms of the sacred space that you're building in your life. From there, we end with the World, the 21st card. 2 and 1 equals 3, and so you're looking at a type of integration. When you talk about threes, things that happen in threes, it could be mind, body, spirit. It can mean past, present, future. You see the triplicity there of movement in life and movement in experiences. But here with the World, you're in a sense you're coming full circle, and so you've got the lemniscates up here and down here, the figure eights. You've got the fixed signs of the zodiac in each corner. You've got basically you've come the idea of coming full circle once you've achieved your success. So maybe whether this could be something where you're just starting out in life and you're preparing for this, or to me there's more of you're in a different phase of life. Maybe you're wanting to do a job change or something, and you're getting on in years, and maybe you're in your 50s, maybe 60s, who knows, and you're wanting to reinvent yourself, and you want to do something maybe you've always wanted to do. It's almost like you're coming through a doorway to a new journey in life, and it's the one you've always wanted to do. So it could be something like that, because when you come here, this doesn't necessarily reflect the end of your life, but it could just be the end of one phase or another. But it's done in a very fixed, measured way. It's done with the understanding that we all come full circle and we begin again. And so who knows, maybe we could have started with the World here, and then here's what's in store for you, and then here you're making your decision about what it is. But I think that in all likelihood this is probably fine in the position it's in, and so whatever you decide to do is going to be successful. It's sort of the completion of the time in life. Maybe you started out in college, you had one job when you got out, then you moved into something better, and then toward the latter part of when you're getting close to retirement, maybe you decide, what, I've always wanted to do this, and I'm going to go do that now. And you have the money, you have the resources, because you have the emotional security, you have, the family behind you, that's willing to, or maybe something happens in your life and you're no longer with somebody, you're single in your life, and you just want to set out and do something different that you've always wanted to do. And maybe, if you've had children, they're grown, they're gone, they're in their lives, and so now really it's just up to you as to what you want to do. But the idea that you come full circle, you do things in a measured way, and in a practical way, basically, to where you're not, getting so out, in other words, you're not letting the lack of impulse control steer you in the wrong direction, or cause you to make decisions that are maybe a little too hasty, and that later you're like, it's like, I'm in this time now, I got to make this work, it's got to be, I can't be messing up here, given your age and all of that. So if you're somebody who's older and you're wanting to make a change like that, this is I think with poor in here, it's just a matter of making sure that what you do does not happen on impulse, that you think about it, you get your ducks in a row, you make sure you're emotionally secure enough to do this, you've got the confidence to do what you want to do, and then make your decision from, any number of things, it could be anything at all, really, with the world in his hand, the globe in his hand. It could be anywhere, anything, anywhere. And then you look at the Three of Wands after the two, and you're watching, he's shifted to the other direction. Instead of looking here, he's looking there, and he's looking out over the bay and essentially waiting for his ship to come in. In other words, the fruits of that decision that he's making here to come in. But we already know with the world that whatever it is he wants to do here will likely be successful. Again, if he does it in a measured way, if he does it in a way that, you've got Taurus, and you've got down here with the bull, that's a very, my mother was a Taurus, and so she didn't make decisions lightly. She would do unexpected things from time to time, but at least it would seem that way. But then later on, I would talk to her, and it's like, no, I've been thinking about doing that. I've been kind of planning it out in my head. So that was her way of doing things too. And so it's kind of like a reading that she would have benefited from, or that would have reflected some of the stuff she did in her life. But I think the bottom line is you start out with your sacred space, and how are you going to define that? And maybe something's changed in your life when you've gotten a little bit older, and you have the ability to make a change in life, and you have the emotional security to do it. You're ready to make the decision in a way that is you've been thinking about it. You've brought your accomplishments are right here, essentially, kind of fixed to the wall there. The same with the fixed signs of the zodiac here. And so that's your foundation, just like here is your emotional foundation that you're taking with you. Well, it's not just that. You're not just the water element, but the fire element too, where you're the opportunities you want to take, you're going to do it in a measured way. You're going to do it with an eye toward what you've built thus far, essentially, with Othala, and in a way that preserves that sacred space you've built for yourself. And then the world is just, saying you're going to end up, it's kind of like in the completion aspect of life, or when you finally make the decision and it does complete itself, you've done what you want to do, or you're in the middle of doing it and it's successful. It means that the choice was good. But, you're looking at the 55 numerology, 2 5s together, it's going to be a change that could be quite powerful at the same time. Because if you're somebody that you've settled, maybe you've made some compromises along the way, maybe you've had a family to support, and then at some point, you don't have them there anymore. They're on their own. And now you have this door that opens into other things that, you think, I've always wanted to do that. It's like if you've always been interested in archaeology, and so maybe you go get to be part of some archaeological dig somewhere, something like that, where it's something you've always wanted to do, and you have the confidence to do it, to step through that door and make a decision that may be totally different than what you've always done. And so it could be that phase of life that you're in where that opportunity has come up, and or you've sourced it out basically, and you're ready to go, and just know that the world is suggesting that you would have a very positive outcome if you did it. So anyway, something to think about for Thursday and a very warm weekend here. I guess they're supposed to, I don't know if there's like a heat dome happening over this part of the country. The Pacific Northwest, I don't know, but I think the whole area is supposed to be warm. And especially over in the valley where it gets real humid at the same time. You get that marine air coming in, and over here on the high desert, we're way high up, and we're 3,000 feet above sea level. So it's a little bit different kind of heat. It's more of a dry heat being on the high desert. So, but anyway, it's still hot, and it's like, thank God for air conditioning. So anyway, thanks for watching, and do check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video, and a little box will come up, and it'll be right there at the top. Let's see, the forecasts will come out Sunday morning in the midnight hour. The correspondences for Work and Magic will come out. I've been feeling the urge to start writing a little more about herbal stuff. I may do some stuff with that in the coming weeks, since I can kind of settle down a little bit with the garden. We're right in this little phase where we're starting to harvest, but yet we're not really into it yet, right? But I may be doing something like that. So be watching for that, because I haven't written about herbs in a while, and I may start to do another series on it. So anyhow, thanks for watching again, and click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that, and come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.